Here we go. No delays. No
What up?
15 and 20-minute waits. No.
Was that happening?
I think it was happening while you were hosting.
Yeah, I
No,
think it
definitely
was.
wasn't happening while I was hosting. That's for sure. I think I heard a rumor that it took you guys like a half hour one time to go on.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was a hot rumor in the streets. Anyways, we're here.
Yeah, we're here. We got 3, let's call it studio guys. So I don't have to worry about those clowns at the Garden. If they never show up, they never show up. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Or if
Whatever.
Josue, somebody stole Josue's charger allegedly last game, so he couldn't.
Oh, is
go on
that
the
what
show.
happened?
Yeah, allegedly.
The You and Bobby show.
The Me and Bobby show. Yeah, well, it was me and Nick. No, it was me and Nick.
Two shows ago. Was it?
Oh, two shows ago.
Josue didn't show up.
I don't think we didn't get an explanation for that one. I'm talking about 2 nights ago.
Those are the ones where he doesn't even where he's in New York, and he was like, I'm totally on, and they're just like, oh man, I was I must have fallen asleep. Like, no,
my
man,
bad,
you were never on.
Guys. Yeah. You were.
He's like, can you guys
else.
keep it down back there? Keep it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we made it. The Celtics showed up tonight too after I'd say a pretty bad performance in New York. Some people said we were a little too critical, but I thought we were fair in our criticism of their performance. But hey, tonight Tatum showed up. Nice little response after a horrible performance in New York. And Celtics did win, but man, that was a horrible beat. If you bet Celtics -4.5, could not have ended any worse. And you're probably not watching the show. You're probably crying in your bed right now.
That's a bad beat.
It was so bad. They were up by so much, and then they still had a chance to cover, but the Cavs just couldn't foul in the end. And they had to hit the 3 before to even make it that way. Oh man, that was a really bad beat. But anyways.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this, Jimmy. I wasn't on the show. I'm sure I would have done a lot of what you guys did. I think Jason Tatum deserved everything you heaped on him last game, and then some.
Yeah.
For lack of maturity, continuing to struggle offensively, being a little bit more passive, getting frustrated. Everything was right tonight with Tatum. All of it. Like, from an approach standpoint, and look, it's so easy to be like, well, he scored 40, so of course he was good. The approach was different. There's a lot of people out there who are of the mind, Tatum. This is the Twitter debate's been had, and I've been having with people the last few days. If Tatum needs Tatum needs to shoot fewer threes, and that wasn't even my main point. But somebody started saying that, and I think, and you guys have talked about it on the show, 2-3 reliant, and this and that. It's not threes, it's the type of threes that you shoot. Yeah, and last game was a game where the Celtics didn't make their threes, and everyone can be like, well, they didn't fall, but they didn't do anything other than whip the ball around the perimeter and just try to shoot from outside whenever the first opportunity presented itself. They weren't good attempts. They weren't work it inside, kick it out, move the ball wide open, X, Y, and Z. But tonight, Tatum has a super efficient game. What happens? He gets to the line a lot more, which is something he hadn't been doing as much recently. And he shoots fewer threes, and he has overall a more efficient game. But he was doing everything. Even Joe in his really short, halftime interview was like, he's literally doing it. I mean, he's making every read. He's making all the right reads. He's not passing up the shots he should take when he gets to the basket or when he's going to the basket. He's making every right read. And he did. He was making sick passes back out to the perimeter, really tough finishes with the left, splitting the defense. Almost everything that he did tonight, with the exception of a couple loose handles, but whatever, that's going to happen, was just perfect.
He was just focused. I mean, more than anything else, it seemed that everything he did out there was purpose behind it. And the one thing he did, I thought, a little bit better tonight than we've seen in the last few games is moving without the ball. I mean, you look at that putback jam that he had tonight. I mean, he doesn't make that play 2-3 games ago. I mean, those are the kind of plays that when you are the best player on your team, you've got to show a certain amount of diversity in terms of getting your points. You can't just be 3-point shot. Drive to the basket, 3-point shot. You've got to find ways to get baskets on putbacks, forcing turnovers, get out in transition. Do more than just be what everyone is expecting you to be. And I thought Tatum, he dug a little bit deeper into the bag tonight.
Yeah, but he attacked. He attacked again, and you can always see it in the free throw attempts. What's been the thing that bugged me about Tatum recently? The passivity, the settling. If you go through his game log, 1 free throw attempt versus the Knicks, 2 versus Philadelphia. He had he did get to the line against Indiana in a bad shooting night, and ended up being with an overall strong performance there. The game before that against Detroit, prior to the All-Star game, 2 trips to the free throw line. So again, just being a little bit more passive. That one didn't matter because literally every single shot fell against Detroit that night. But I think that makes the difference. If you look at the statistical difference between Tatum last year and this year, it really is the amount of times he's getting to the line. That's his greatest improvement above all else. Almost every other metric across the board is pretty similar in terms of shooting percentage, in terms of assist numbers, in terms of everything that he does. He's scoring more points because he's getting to the line 3 more times and making 2-point-something more free throws a game. And that's the key to his efficiency, and that's been super important for him. So it has to be part of his mentality almost every game is to attack.
Yeah, I think Sherrod nailed it. He just looked more focused. He was engaged out there. He was looking for score in all areas of the court. He wasn't just shot chucking. I mean, only 6 threes attempted tonight. That's great. Honestly, keep it that number. I feel like we're talking about Marcus Smart now. We're talking about 3-point attempts, but
no, but that's the thing is he's averaging 9+ threes this year, and some people are like it's too many, and other people are like no, he should be taking that.
Well, it depends if you're a math nerd or not, right? I mean, if you're a math nerd, you're pouring over the statistics and the probabilities and the threes more than 2, and you're fine with it. But if you watch the game, if you just watch the game in your own 2 eyes, you can see that Tatum's probably more effective when he's in motion, when he's taking the mid-range, when he's attacking the hoop, and that's the stuff that we saw tonight. So I was glad to see it, and there wasn't all the bitching and moaning that we saw last game, and the kind of one up in the referees, and that's the stuff that I just can't stand. I still don't know how he can be so up and down sometimes. I think his baseline for being bad needs to be higher than what it is sometimes.
But the thing about Tatum when he's bad, at the end of the night, it's like it wasn't as bad as it looked.
Sometimes.
He'll have a game where he'll just look like absolute crap out there, and you look at the final 5, he's got 23 points, 6-7 rebounds, 6-7, which doesn't look bad, but we all know the eye test shows you a completely different story. But to me, that more than the great games he has is the hallmark of a superstar, a guy that can play bad and still put up numbers that for a lot of guys would be season highs.
And a lot of that, again, you go back to it is, and that was kind of one of the things I was talking about yesterday on Twitter, Jimmy, was the amount of the variance. Okay, I think the variance matters. The amount of duds. I remember counting back last year, and I think in 76 games there were 23 dead on no show, bottom of the floor, horrible shooting, 30 in the 30s, low 30s sort of games. And I went back and I counted this year, and there was 15 of the 58 games that he'd played had been just horrible shooting nights where he just looks so bad. Those 3 of 15 nights, 8 of 24. And it's more.
And those are the nights where he's taking 12 threes, I imagine.
Yeah, and it's always high threes, and obviously those threes, that when they're not falling and he's cold, he's missing 9 and 10. Those nights are going to look a lot worse. And I was comparing that to other stars and how many they have. Luka, had 5. and again, he hasn't played as many games. And then there's others who have, who are kind of outside shooters who rely on the 3 a little more that are going to have more of those as well. But he had the most by a bit, even though he'd played the most games, and that's kind of how it started the conversation is. That swing but you look at some of those games, a couple of them were 10 assist games, a couple of them were double-digit free throw games where he does squeak out that 27, 28 points, even when he shot horribly, Sherrod. He's had a couple of games this year where he scored 31 points, and you're like, he did not play. He had one the other night, admittedly. He's like, I played like ass tonight, and he ended up with 31. So trying to cut down on that variance a little bit, and I think it's just, as you said, Sherrod, focus, kind of maintaining the gameplay. This is a really impressive game. This is a game where, typically, didn't you think that against a team that has twin towers like they do and a serious interior presence and these types of teams, these are the ones where Tatum's a little skittish going into the lane. There was a clear emphasis from almost everybody early on. You could see that they're, and I'm sure coming from Joe was, we're going to attack. And they really did.
Yeah. I mean, they attacked, but
this is a good defensive team and they're big.
Yeah. It's a good defensive team. They're big and they're long. And the thing about it is the first half was problematic because I just thought the Celtics were way too deep in their own thoughts on how do we do this, instead of just playing and going at them and attacking them. This Cleveland team, the Celtics I think their path to the finals would be a lot easier if the Knicks eliminated Cleveland in the first round.
Maybe. But again, 32 threes for the Celtics again is much, much less than you would expect. I mean, they really did some work tonight, and against a team where you could really see them. That's the type of team that they would not turtle against, but they would struggle a little bit. Again, rebounding numbers really impressive. You had 3 guys with 11 boards each tonight in the starting lineup. Which you need. You really need a team effort against a team that has the type of length that Cleveland does here. It was an impressive performance against a team that had given them trouble and the type of team that had given them trouble this year.
Yeah, and you know what? You can't mention that without talking about Rob. And I've been very critical of him over the last few weeks. But this is a big team. This is a team where you need a presence in the paint. Whether it's rebounding or whatever. 11 boards for Rob. Field. This was one of his better games so far. Definitely near the top of his complete games, 30 minutes tonight. So again, is it on off? I hope not. I mean, I hope he can start to string some of these along a little bit more. You want to see his points in the double digits. Certainly. We talk about how he's become almost a black hole on offense, or just not a black hole, but just ignored on offense.
What's the opposite of black hole? No,
yeah.
It's like
I don't know.
I'm not
a
goes.
space guy. As much as I want to be, but I think this is a game where he had to come out and have his presence felt tonight. There would have been huge issues if Cleveland was able to just outbody everybody down low tonight, because you talk about whether it's Allen or they've got bigger guys on this team. And I love their guards. I love Garland. I love Mitchell, and obviously Mitchell had a game and a half. He always seems to bring it against Boston, but. Credit to the Celtics. They took care of business at home. This is a team, like we said, you may see them again at some point in the playoffs. Certainly, I can see both teams advancing out of the first round for sure. So there's definitely a situation where they could see them in the second round.
Well,
go ahead, Sherrod.
No, I was just going to say I like the fact that the Celtics actually made adjustments. They actually tweaked the way they were playing, because remember the first half, Cleveland was getting everything they wanted on second chance points. I think 10 of their first 24 points were second chance points. And at that rate, you're going to lose by about a good 15, 20 points if you don't shore that up. They did a better job of boxing out. They did a better job. Rob, I thought particularly, was a much better impact player in the second half. His defense, his movement, I thought he moved a lot better in the second half than he did in the first half. We've talked about this before. When Rob, he doesn't have to keep catching lobs, but he needs to be moving his ass from side
There's
to side.
A lot of standing, feeling, and I'm just going to
away from the play sometimes.
And there wasn't as much of that in the second half.
I'm just going to hold off, not move. Wherever I am is fine. I'm just going to out jump whoever's around me, and that doesn't always work, particularly because I think that jump isn't quite there like it has been in Ghosts of Rob past right now, where he's not just you honestly, you can tell the difference in Rob and his ability to kind of get up and get those balls right now in terms of his overall physicality by the amount of tips that he gets. The tips are normally very good because oftentimes it's, I can't catch this, and now I'm going to tip it to somebody free. Now he's tipping instead of grabbing because he's not able to get up there and go up and get it in some of those situations. So he's using it a little bit as a crutch, and he's tipping balls that he should be getting his hands on, coming down with them, and then going right back up sometimes, or just collecting the rebound and not, and sometimes it works to his favor, sometimes not. There's still something slightly off. Jimmy, I could be mistaken, but I thought I saw a clip on a CLNS YouTube channel where you were leading the charge on Rob is not Rob right now, and that might have been a game ago.
Yeah, no, I still don't think he's Rob. I mean,
I don't either, but was that from last game?
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, that was definitely from last game. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last few shows he's been a topic because there's a theme of him not looking like the old Rob. This looked, he looked a little bit different tonight. I'm not ready to go apology cam on everybody for sure, but my big criticism is that he's not doing it consistently enough. So, okay, solid performance tonight, 11 rebounds, +9. I think he led the team in plus minus tonight.
And 3 lobs, 2 went down.
Yeah, so I mean, if they can build off that and turn it into another one on Friday, great. Nobody's going to be happier than me. I'm a little hesitant. It's almost like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I had to think about that.
I was like, is he going to get it?
He's not going to get it.
Shame on me regardless in most cases, but you know what I'm saying. I want to see a little bit more, but this is what I want to see. And it wasn't just Rob. I mean, Al Horford had a hell of a night too. I mean, he was hitting his shots left and right. I mean, a little bit of a different effect, especially because I think he went 6 of 8 from 3. But the big guys showed up tonight in a game where size was definitely needed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And again, this is a fair point Andrew's making here. I know he's going against 2 7-footers and some serious length, so he might have to do that. I think this is a thing he's been doing all year. It's not just tonight. It's all year where he's not going up and getting all of them, and he is relying a little bit on.
He's barely dunking
on his quickness and quick, because he's very quick. Sometimes just if I can catch it on the up, can I just tap it real quick, because he's not skying for them the way he was in the past. That's a fact. And you see it from flat-footed. He's not getting up flat-footed the same way he used to. If he catches down low and he goes up, he's sneaking the ball over the rim. So he needs to load up to jump. And you see it. That's why people see the alley-oops, and you can see him load up, get it going, and get up there. And they're like, oh, that looked good. But from a standing position, there's some lift missing there.
I think this is inaccurate.
I don't know why people think that. That's not right.
Players don't just wait. It's not like they're warming up and like they're hiding their pitches like before like the game starts. Remember that back in the day? Like, oh, he's not throwing his good stuff. He doesn't want us to see what he has. Like, no, like they're out there.
He doesn't have any good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
His good stuff isn't good.
He's not closing out with that. He's not blocking threes anymore. He's not closing out and getting hands on balls. You're not seeing it anymore. You're not seeing a lot of that stuff still.
Well, you know what? I don't think we're going to see that even when the playoffs roll around.
It's another one of these comments. I disagree. Right. He is not consciously playing at 70%. He's limited right now. There's some limitation in there right now.
There could be a little mental, hesitation, maybe to some degree, but this isn't strategy. Like if people were like, oh, like Rob's playing chess and we're all playing checkers, like no, that's not it.
Tino, we are acting like he had 2 surgeries, not like he didn't. That's how we're acting. We are acting like he's had multiple surgeries. That's exactly what we are doing. The notion that he'll be fine and that he's saving himself, I know that's what you want to do when you kind of grab your blankie at night and you snuggle up and you're like, oh, it's going to –
He'll be fine.
He's going to be fine. Like, we all want to believe that, but, like, I don't know that that's true any more than you do. So don't say it like, Rob,
yeah. My green binky.
I want to believe that too. Trust me. I mean, more than anybody, I want to believe that Rob's gonna just one day just
Celtics
wake up and
onesie.
fly. Yeah, I do. I want to believe it.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
It's just I need to see it. I need to see it before I believe it.
I want to see it, and if all of a sudden he does, I'll be like, there it is. He did it.
I think part of Rob's issue is he's trying to figure out what the hell his body can do and not do right now, and part of that you're going to be hesitant when you're thinking about that kind of stuff. I think we're going to what we're seeing now from Rob. I think we're going to consistently see through the playoffs. I don't think Rob is all of a sudden going to become the guy that was jumping out the gym just like that once the playoffs roll around. I think it's going to continue to be like this gradual progress where he's getting a little bit better, but it's not going to happen overnight because the point that I think someone chimed in earlier, he's had 2 surgeries. Guys you don't just instantly turn it on like that when you've had the kind of surgeries, particularly when you're someone whose greatest strength is your athleticism. That's going to be the one thing that's going to take
and this is another thing is like, these are other takes I don't fully understand. Why are we just reading a box? He was active tonight. That's great. We have seen the peak of Rob and how game-changing it can be. Guys, you're talking about a unicorn. I hate using that term. You're talking about a type of player that doesn't exist in the league when he's right. He's different. Totally different than anybody else. You're not getting that version of Rob. You might be getting effective play from time to time, as Sherrod said, when he's focused, when he's moving his feet, when he's active, you can still get a lot of good things off of him. We're talking about unicorn Rob, who's a freak that makes 12 plays a game where you're like, he's the only human on the planet that could have done that. That's the type of guy who made them took them to a completely different level last year. Prior to getting hurt, was probably the defensive player of the year, and he's the reason that double big lineup was impossible to play against. That guy isn't here yet. Maybe he gets here, and if he does, great. But if he doesn't, you have to live with you'll take this version of Rob, but it's still
it's a lot more human version for sure.
Yes, it's human, exactly.
And this version of Rob is still good enough when he's playing like he did tonight.
Yes.
Good enough for you to win a title. You can absolutely still win a championship, but if you want to give yourself a little bit more of a margin for error, you get the Rob that we saw near the end of last season when he was the best defensive player in the NBA. No disrespect to Marcus Smart, but Rob was that good, that impactful. And if you can get him a little bit closer to being that guy, it gives you a little bit more flexibility to win a championship. Because this Cleveland game and the final score, this was a weird game because I thought Cleveland they were playing their game in the first half, and then the third quarter the Celtics seemed to be ready to pull away, and then the last 5-6 minutes, Cleveland just said, okay, we're gonna screw everyone who bet on this damn game and just make it a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy.
No, it's fine.
Because when I saw the final score was 4 points, I'm thinking damn, wasn't it was 4.5?
Oh my God, are you right?
That's just a gut punch.
Well, also on the broadcast, they kind of remind you and stuff too.
I know. I can't stand this about sports coverage nowadays. But
I know because
it's brutal. It's brutal. But anyway, you'll absolutely take this version of Rob.
Yeah, guys. By the way, everyone who's just tuning in or missed the beginning of the show, we praised Rob Williams tonight. We're not harping on him and saying he still sucks. We're just saying, what I'm saying is this is a lot more what the Celtics are probably trending. He's trending in the right direction after a game like this.
Jimmy just said he sucked last game. Yeah,
I said he sucked the last few games.
My bad. The last few games.
But tonight he was a lot more in line with what I would hope to see. It's just not. It's
less
just not.
suck. Yeah.
It's just not a freak.
At least
Rob.
Jimmy's not picking on the French today, which is good.
I'm not picking on the French.
Oh boy, don't do that.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I get hate mail. All right, we're gonna take a quick pause. Tell you about Athletic Greens. You know about it. You love it. You take it. Jimmy Toscano stacks it. Sherrod Blakely mainlines it. We love this stuff. There it is.
There it is.
Bang. Those are the travel packs. Sherrod Blakely even takes his travel packs from room to room.
I do.
Yeah. That's smart, actually. I should think about that.
Just in case he finds himself in a room and he's like, I gotta take it.
Just a little vegetable deficiency down the hatch in the living room.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Bingo. Take it whenever you need it. I'm feeling a little low right now. Athletic Greens, you take it in the morning. It's a great one-stop shopping vitamin supplement that has 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, adaptogens, all sorts of different things, help you with mental clarity, gut health, sleep, focus, recovery, all sorts of different things, again, that you're probably chasing through a series of different pills and supplements. You don't have to do that. AG1 puts it all in one place. Bang, you take it, you're done for the day. Virtually no sugar. It fits into your diet. It's really easy.
Yeah.
And that's it. Done.
And you know what?
Yep.
There's going to be people out there be like, oh, I take a multivitamin. Yeah, that's called an expensive piss. That's really all a multivitamin is. Honestly, guys, I got a buddy of mine. He's like, oh, I take a multivitamin. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? You can't compare the two. Athletic Greens is, guys, it's a green powder it's whole foods ground up, okay? So it's literally foods that you're not getting, but it's just in a different form. A vitamin is just an expensive piss. Half of those, everything you look in the back of the nutrition facts on those multivitamins, 800% of this and 450% of that. None of that is being put to use. Okay, so just try Athletic Greens. you'll actually get some real nutrients out of this stuff, and you won't be wasting your money on multivitamins like you're 85 years old and you need
you're Don Draper
like,
working out with your button-down shirt in the office with your stretch bands. I took a multivitamin. And,
Like you're gonna be a tough guy and then pop in a couple gummy vitamins. Like, give me a break, dude. Keep it moving. Get out of my face.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about how Rob Williams isn't himself some more. I'm just kidding.
Let's talk about Grant. How did Grant play?
How did Grant do? Hold on, let me look up his line. Hold on. Let me look it up.
Pull off the alphabet.
Let me look
it
up. Oh no!
I'm not a hater. I'm hater of the year, bud.
No.
Anyways, Grant.
So here's the thing.
He had the alphabet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
alphabet
D,
time.
N, E, C, D. So I think what's very clear is there's a 9-man rotation that Mazzulla is going to play every night, and some nights Grant will be in it, and some nights Grant will be not. Will be not. See, you be not. Grant Williams. We're talking a DNP-CD, and 3 games ago, 6 minutes. His last 4 games, DNP, 2 points over 16 minutes, 4 points over 29 minutes, 2 points in 6 minutes. This is Grant right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is your $20 million man who is right now fighting for minutes and clearly not playing against taller, lengthy teams where he's just not going to be as effective. And he didn't get in there, man, at all. And the plan was clearly, I don't think barring major foul trouble, he was never getting in tonight.
No.
I thought that's by design. And I don't think he's not in the doghouse. I don't think he's hurt, as far as we know. I just think this is where he fits into the team. He's the 7, 8, 9 guy. But on any night he can be the 10 and be out.
That's the thing about this team. I think they have,
which is not a bad thing,
right? I think they have like 5 guys who are in the 7, 8, 9 rotation. Where any given night, 2 of those guys are not going to play and 3 are, and it's going to be specifically matchup based. When you think about Muscala in this game, he is going to give you better production than Grant because he has the ability to actually take those bigs away from the basket, which gives better spacing for Tatum to do what he does. When Grant's out there against a team like Cleveland, he doesn't have the ability to space the floor, and he is a detriment to your defense because he doesn't have enough size for all that length. So this is why Joe Mazzulla, I think, is a coach who's only going to get better with time. He's recognizing these type of situations and handling them, and is not hesitating to make the move. I mean, he gave Grant, he cut back the minutes, giving Grant fewer opportunities to prove himself. And when that didn't work, he just said, okay, we're just going to pull the plug. Mike, you're in. Grant, you're next to me. Watch the game. Enjoy.
Switch that second.
Now, does this mean that Grant's going to get back in and he's going to play at some point going forward?
Of course
it's
he is.
Clear that he's
had 29 minutes the other night.
Right. He's a situational guy now. It's all about the matchup with him.
Yeah. It looks like
I'm perfectly fine with. And
I think there's far more teams he'll play against than not, but there are some teams he will not see. Then this is one of those examples where he's just not going to play. And it's it's you get used to that.
You can't say it was a wrong decision. I mean, they were up by a pretty good amount, in the second half here. So I know that somebody asked Mazzulla about it tonight after the game, so he did respond to it, and he did say that it was matchup related. I think more so on the offensive end.
And it makes sense. I mean, when you look at that Cleveland roster and you look at Grant matching up with those guys, it totally makes sense to take him out of the mix and put Muscala in.
Yep. Yeah, and it's interesting though because this is you're seeing it now with a kind of return to full health, and I think that this is the most important thing that Joe's going to have to do down the stretch. If you stack the priorities, win the number 1 seed, rest your stars, this and that. I think to me it's figure out the rotations and figure out who you're going to play in which situations and with whom. And I really would like to see some tinkering and this and that. But I mean, I think he's in playoff mode right now, Joe. He's playing the lineups the way he wants to play them. It's not a short rotation, but he doesn't want to go past 9 guys. and he has right now 10 that are playable. The way he views it, if Hauser's going to be able to give you some minutes. So again, you saw a couple nights where Muscala didn't play at all, and yeah, Grant's going to get squeezed. The kind of bigger, yeah, Grant's supposed to. The bigger question with Grant is, again, just future value. Is how can you value a person at the type of number that he's potentially looking for if he's a guy you on any given night might not play at all? It really does change it, right? And that's what you don't know is Brad might be sitting there like, God, I like Grant. I think Joe should be playing him more, but I'm not going to tell Joe what to do with his rotations. It's his team. But it is still strange. Like, what are you going to do in this sort of situation if you got a guy who's only going to play sporadically down the stretch here? What are you doing in the offseason when you're looking at possibly bringing him back?
It's great that you're seeing this now, though, because at least when you get to the table and Grant's agent is saying, "Hey, my guy should get $20 million," and you're like, "Well, is that $20 million when we play Milwaukee and maybe $1 million when we play Cleveland?"
Yeah, it's going to average out to 10.
Yeah, because it's
right where he
clear.
is.
Grant has had enough opportunities this season where we know what he can and cannot do. We know the matchups that he can be effective and impactful against, and the ones where he's going to struggle. And when you're talking about paying a guy $20 million, there better be a very small ass number of teams where you don't play great against. And it better just be because you just don't play well against him. It can't be because you have some physical deficiencies that make it very difficult for you to be effective. Cleveland is a bad matchup for Grant in every sense of the word. It really is. And that doesn't make him a bad player. It just simply means that this is a team, and teams like Cleveland, where he's not going to be very impactful to the point where tonight, a great example, you couldn't even play him. Didn't even want to play him against these guys. And that's a problem when you're talking about paying somebody $20 million. Because
Exactly.
I don't care how much you may not be able to be as impactful. If it's to the point where I can't even feel confident in playing you at all, I can't see giving you $20 million.
That's it. It changes the conversation a lot.
Totally changes the conversation.
Yeah, and I do want to quickly point out, because somebody was saying, hey, they'd love to do call-ins because they want to be able to disagree with us. Hey, disagree with us in the chat, absolutely, as long as you're keeping it respectful, which all of you do all the time. But if you do want to mix it up, join the Discord server, and we'll friggin' meet you. I'll meet you there after school.
Flip the hat back, John. Get his ass. Get him, John. Get his ass.
And we'll do it. Okay,
I want to
it's
say,
on.
I want to say one
No,
thing.
for real. If you do want to get involved in some chat, join that Discord server. We will jump in from time to time and come in and bandy, wits with you guys and trade takes, and more than happy to. And we really actually do enjoy it. It's a fun community and a good opportunity to go in there and just chat Celtics with some like-minded folks. So please check that out. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, you guys were just talking about Grant Williams and all that stuff. I just looked up the last time I played the Cavs. It was a long time ago, October 28th. Grant Williams played 31 minutes in that game. It wasn't a... Wait, let me just make sure that's right.
How'd that game turn out, by the way? Just curious.
Well, I just lost it, so give me a
Well,
second.
I can tell you, I'll just save you the time.
They lost. Yeah, they lost by... They lost
lost.
by 9.
Yeah,
They lost by 9.
Lost. The game was in overtime, but still, they lost.
Wait. Now I'm looking and he played 0 minutes, so I might be looking at the wrong. I might have looked at the wrong damn thing. Carry on. Oh, okay.
Jimmy, you want us to leave for a little bit?
November 2nd. Sorry, November 2nd. They did lose, but they lost by 1. Okay.
Yeah.
And he played. Thank you. He played 31 minutes. He had 11.7 rebounds, and he was a +4. So there could be some matchup to it, but at the same time, I mean, the last time they played, he wasn't by any stretch, a negative in that game. So I don't know if it's all matchup based or if it's just maybe the way he's playing overall right now. I mean, if he had been playing a lot better basketball over the last, let's say, month, I'm sure he's probably playing in this game.
You went back to the early Cleveland game?
I went back to the one on November. Yeah, accidentally
the OT.
I went to the
Yeah, they were both OT, right? The first two, but
the first two were OT.
You have no Rob.
Yeah, it was an overtime
back then, and you have no you have no Muscala at that point. Not that so you did have fewer options at that point in time. And Cornette was cornetted himself yet. You know what I mean? Is like
Cornette didn't really play in this one though, but
yeah, I
sure.
mean, he started to kind of show value a little bit later, but in the early going, you weren't dusting off Cornette. So I mean, Grant was better or worse than the backup big right out of the gate. I mean, he was starting in some games. So when they wanted to stay double big, he might have started that game against Cleveland.
Yeah, you didn't have a choice to play him.
You had to play him. So now it's a matter of choice.
But he didn't play bad, is what I'm saying.
He didn't. No, you're right. No, it's a good point. It's just right now when you have choice, you might opt for other ones. Who's to say it's the right one? Who's to say Grant would have been brutal tonight? But the point, I guess, is Joe is making a decision that in some days he's going to cut some days he's going to play some guys. Some days he's going to cut them out completely.
Yeah, and I respect that. I mean, because even you may not agree with the decision. You can kind of understand the reasoning behind the decision, even if you don't agree with it. And to me, that's the thing about Joe that just so far kind of stands out. I mean,
Grant was suspended for yelling at a female official. That's what it was.
Yeah.
The first game. Yeah.
Casual. Yeah. It's no big deal.
Yeah, he was I can't remember who they played that game where he got that happened, but he was all over the place in that one. That's Grant.
Yeah.
Little fun fact here.
Cornette, PP, those guys, where are they? Gone. Blake.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing, though.
P Party may have talked himself into the bench. I don't know.
Here's the thing. This is why. I mean, we saw this this isn't the same roster, but you saw this in the Kyrie year. Everyone points to Kyrie as the person that tore things apart, but Marcus Morris, Terry Rozier, what a bet. Everybody there wanted big minutes. You got to be really careful bringing in people. You got to be sure that the people you have, you're lucky you have Derek White and Brandon and Malcolm Brogdon being okay with 22 and 23 minutes a night, in some cases, some cases 16 and 17, because players of their caliber, you could have brought one or two of those guys in and they're like, what the guy only played, and that could be an issue. I mean, you can't go that deep with guys playing 20. There's just not enough minutes to go around there, past an 8 or 9 man rotation. If you play 9 men, one of those guys is going to play 5, 6, 7 minutes. Really only 7 guys can get serious minutes, and a couple of those guys. So there's not much more you could add to this team right now. Guys are going to get squeezed out. They have as many use. Could they have other players instead of the ones they have? Could they have traded for someone better than Muscala? Definitely. But you'd have maybe not. You'd still have a real crunch minutes wise. There's not much more. This is who you've got. These are the guys you're going to play. You find the right combos. But one thing I found interesting tonight was, again, it's for as good as Derek White has been and as good as Malcolm Brogdon has been, neither one played well tonight. But Marcus wasn't great either, but Marcus just dwarfed them in minutes. And again, from a rotation standpoint, this is another thing I'm really interested to see is how often Joe just kind of defaults to Marcus because Marcus is Marcus. We saw it that other night. Which game was that? Where Derek White and Brogdon were phenomenal, and he brings in Marcus to close the game out, and you were like, Philly. And it was like, oh, man, I don't know. Tonight, those guys didn't make a case for themselves, but I am curious to see if that's always going to if it's going to look that way.
Yeah, well, I think that's just – go ahead, Jimmy. You got it.
No, I was just going to say I think all these guys realize that the opportunity is going to come for them, and it might not be that game that night, but they've all had points where they've had big roles in this team, whether one of the other guys have been out or whether it's just been their night. I mean, Derek White, we were talking about it earlier in the season. He was getting practically double the minutes that Brogdon was getting, right? But we're talking about Brogdon as 6th man of the year. So all these guys are carving out a role for themselves, and of course, Marcus Smart being on the team for as long as he has, and defensive player of the year and all that stuff. I think is going to get defaulted to a little bit more playing time. But I'll tell you what, Derek White's been the best guard on this team for the last 6 weeks or whatever it's been. You can really make a case. Those 3 guys, you can make a case for any 3 of them to be leading the way in minutes right now. So, but I think that they all have the right mindset, like you said, John. These guys know what the goal is. At least I hope they do, and certainly Brogdon does because he's consistently come off the bench this year on games even when they were really digging deep to fill out that starting rotation. So he's happy with his role, it seems like, and again, there is only one ball, and I think these guys understand that they have a talented team.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that deserve to have playing time.
Yeah, huge thing we haven't talked about tonight, and we'll get to in a little bit, is Horford, the Horford resurgence, and how good Horford has been. He's been the reason they've won two. I think. I mean, he was huge tonight. I think you're not going to take away from Tatum as well, but he's been integral in 2 wins recently, and he was awesome again tonight. So it's nice to see that shot falling and kind of fountain of youth sort of stuff. Totally. Really quick, want to put a bow on the Grant thing. This was Missoula talking about decision not to play Grant. We got some sound sent to us. I'll play that, and then we'll pivot to Al.
Matchup versatility has generally been a strength of his. So what was it about tonight's matchup that made you want to go with Mike instead?
Just matchups on the offensive end, as far as spacing the floor and having rim protection. And so when Mike was in, we were able to play a different defensive lineup. Didn't want to switch these guys as much in that second unit. And so they played, because of their sub pattern, we went with a bigger, and we were able to stay in 13 a little bit more and not switch that second unit, which is big for us.
Yeah.
An actual answer. I'm happy.
That was an actual answer.
Yeah.
And the way that question was phrased, I thought could have tweaked him. Like, so Grant's super versatile. Like, why aren't you playing the versatile guy? And, it was a pretty fair answer,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. And we'll see Grant again. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody commented it was Grant's best game this year.
That's so horrible.
It wasn't.
It's not.
I didn't say it.
It's not like, here's the thing. Grant's not a bad player. It's just that when you start stacking what he does up against the guys that he's playing with, it kind of doesn't look good for him. But if you put him on like the Charlotte Hornets or a bunch of other teams in the NBA, he's playing more. If you put him on the Lakers before they made those trades, he's probably averaging a double-double on how bad that team was. Grant, he's one of the guys on this team who's talked about just wanting to win in whatever role he has to play to help the team win. Sometimes your role is to not have a role in the game. Sometimes your role is to watch. And it'll be interesting to see how Grant responds when he gets a chance to get back. I'm just saying, that's true. Sometimes your role is to watch the damn game. That's what they need
know
you to
your
do.
role and shut your mouth type of thing.
Yeah. Well, but I'm curious to see how Grant's going to respond the next time he gets out on the floor. Is he going to play with an edge attitude, like I don't want to ever go back to being the 10th man again? Or will he just kind of accept it and be like, well, this is just how this is for me right now?
Let me try and predict it. He's going to talk a lot.
Yes.
He may grab at parts of his body a couple of times and look at the ref.
Gestures, yeah.
He may fall
if
to
he
the
makes
ground.
If he makes a three, he's going to...
Yeah, he may fall to the ground a couple times and lay there until he realizes nobody cares that he's down there, and then have to get up and walk of shame his way back to the other end of the floor.
He definitely won't commit any fouls, even though he'll be called for some, for sure.
At some point or another, Tatum or Brown is going to kind of look at him with that dude shut up look. I think all of those things are going to happen for sure.
So just another day.
I love Grant. Grant's my guy. That's my guy. I'm still gonna hang.
We all love Grant,
I know. And look, it's a love to hate sort of thing. Even all of this stuff is probably how they treat him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what Grant does when he gets back out there. I am.
It does suck listen, anyone who's ever been on a team, whether it's beer league or what, I guess beer league, you just put yourself in the game, but anytime you're sitting, it's not fun though when you have to sit and watch in a game where you think you can contribute and you want to be able to help, and if that doesn't light a fire into you, then you don't have a competitive spirit. So
this might happen.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, he might do that.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, damn. So what about Al?
Let's talk a little bit about Al, because Al was very, very, very good tonight. And it's great.
Scary good.
It's great to be good.
Even shots that didn't count were going down for Al in this game. This is playoff Al. This is the Al that you needed come the postseason if you're going to have a deep run. Basically, he's your fifth option out there, and he's going to get looks. It's a weird dynamic that he has with that starting unit, because even though he's not really counted on to be much of a scorer, he's going to get enough opportunities to put up big numbers almost every night. It's just weird how they utilize him from an offensive standpoint. His defense was good, not great, but it was good tonight. And Al, like I said, he's just going to be such an important cog for them going forward if they're going to have any shot of winning the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's tried and true. He's not the sexy guy to cover out there, right? He kind of just floats around a little bit. Maybe you lose him. You're focused on Tatum and Brown, right? Or Marcus Smart's running around. And Al just kind of does his thing. And Tatum was looking for him tonight. I mean, everybody was, but 8 of 10
made
from
some
the
pretty
field.
sick blind passes tonight.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
He did. 6 of 8 from 3. I mean, a couple of them go down early, and you start to feel it if you're Al Horford. And the guy's been doing it for a very, very long time. There's certainly no situation where he's not ready for, So he is going to be huge for them in the playoffs.
But that's
No
the thing
doubt
is,
about
like,
that.
the bigger Al isn't the one who pops off for a game like this with 23 points. The important Al is the one that doesn't completely disappear, because you got a lot of Al games that are like 0 for 2, like where he's just not involved.
Yeah, I mean, they're not
and that's
expecting
fine.
23
That's not, you're not
points.
expecting, it's not Al's role is to do a lot of things, not just that, but sometimes you just need a little there. You just need supplementary stuff. So you just want to make sure that you're getting a little bit from Al. And yeah, every once in a while he'll friggin' save your ass, and he's done it before. And when he does that, it's gravy. But just him being able to like contribute a little bit on offense, that shot's been going down at a great clip all year. You want him to be in a position where he can shoot it. I mean, this is a total revival year for him. From behind the arc. It's like his first year. Which year was it when he shot 43 with the Celtics? I say second year here. Yeah, his second year, 43%. He's right there. That year he was a real weapon. So knowing that you have that, it improves the spacing so much when you're able to get him out there and get him to get those shots. And when they fall, it really changes the dynamic of the offense, particularly that first team offense. If you're not going to get much from Rob and you're not going to get a lot from Smart in the shooting department, Al knocking down some shots really does change the dynamic of how that first team unit can play. So I love to see it. Love it.
Facts,
love
my
Al.
dog.
And again, what's amazing is I don't I still can't tell that he's really Tom Brady in terms of appearance. I'm sure physically he's not as spry as he was, but the dude legit looks exactly the same as he's always looked. It's unbelievable. His overall fitness and just the way he looks does not look like an old man at all.
No, he's a professional athlete.
He's a professional
He's a
athlete.
pro's pro. He's in the tip-top shape. I mean, we talk about this guy like he's 60 years old. He's, 35 or something like that? Like,
he's the oldest guy I've ever seen.
He's a dinosaur out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, credit to him. I mean, he's obviously a true professional.
He's
always been
36. He
somebody-
turns 37 this summer. It's pretty freaking
36.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, for basketball. For basketball years it is. But,
yeah.
These guys...
He's not Udonis Haslem out there who's like 60.
Oh, gosh.
No. But there's some guys, the well-conditioned guys, man, they know how to hang around. And Al adjusted his game. He evolved. He became an outside shooter. That wasn't his game when he came into the league at all. Yeah. And if he never adjusted, he probably wouldn't be in the league today. So, he's been able to save his body by floating out to the three-point line instead of banging down low with all these young bucks, 6'10", 7-footer guys. And he's worked on a shot. So not only is he floating out there, he's hitting shots. So, I mean, they just extended him. I mean, the guy's got another few years left in the tank. And, he's always been somebody who's really taken care of himself. He's always been in great shape, and I would hope that some of the younger guys on the team take notes on how he sort of conducts himself off the court, not just on the court.
Yep. This is a fun one. I'll leave this comment up here. It's a fun one to answer. And I just wanted to be clear. It's asking John, Jimmy, and Sherrod, and not Bobby. Bobby does not get to answer this one. But guys,
we'll see you later, Bob.
Bobby, you'll get your take on the game. I did want to answer this question from Judah here. What? I mean, if you do point to a weakness on this team, what is it?
For me,
Bobby's trying to answer, and I told him not to. I told him not to.
I didn't know who you were. You just threw it out in the open.
I said John, Jimmy, or Sherrod.
For me, I'll go. I mean, I actually think it's more mental. I think it's more toughness. Obviously, I have some concerns at the 5 spot because I don't know about Rob's health and I don't know how consistent he can be. But for me, sometimes I feel like this team gets punched and they don't punch back. Sometimes I feel like certain teams have had their number over the years, and I just want to see a little bit more of punch first mentality and like sort of foot on the throats, especially when it comes to coming down the line here and into the playoffs. I'd love to see them fight and get that number 1 seed from the Bucks. I think that would just do a lot for them just to know that they were able to sort of, fight down the stretch and fight off teams like the Bucks and the Sixers, who they did have a nice, that was an up and down game over the weekend. But for me, it's more of the mental side of it than it is like a specific issue. Now, that being said, their outside shooting is a hit or miss, literal, and sometimes when they're off, it really, really does make you think that they're a little bit too one-dimensional there.
Yeah, Sherrod?
Yeah, it's the bigs. It scares the crap out of me because your first option, Rob, is somewhat fragile. You literally have no idea how long he's going to be able to play or whether he's going to get back to playing at the level that we're accustomed to seeing. You've got Al, who is, again, he's on the other side of the basketball mountain and he's going down. But I give him credit. He's not going down without a fight. He still has a lot of juice in him. But no one will be surprised if Al had a 3, 4, 5, 6 game stretch where he just couldn't make shots. It's and a lot of that I wouldn't attribute that to him. I would attribute that more than anything else is just father time, slowly but surely catching up to you. Some days he's going to stay with you longer than others. So for me, it's the big man situation and the concern that there's so much uncertainty about your best bigs and whether they're going to be ready, willing, and able to play at the high enough level that you're going to need them to be at in order to win.
Yeah, I agree with all of those. I would go late game execution as the thing that always worries me the most because it's a problem that actually doesn't have a solution. Because you just kind of hope it goes well.
By the way, problem tonight too.
Yeah, and again, it always kills me because they don't know who to be in those situations. The things that work for them for the first 45 minutes, 44 minutes of a game completely just crumpled up and thrown in the trash, and they still go into this crazy slowdown mode, this ISO, this hold the ball. They give it to Tatum. The point guards are neutralized. Depending on the lineup you play, particularly with a lead, it might be a defensive lineup that features bigs who aren't going to shoot. You're leaving Marcus in the game, but you're not putting the ball in his hands to make plays. And I don't know between both the lineups that they're going to use to close these games and just the style of play, I don't know how that problem gets better. I really don't know. And that's why sometimes you want to see a guy like Brogdon in there, who's going to control the ball a little bit more. But I don't know that that's the answer. It's just they've clearly shown a reluctance to keep it in the point guard's hands in these late game situations. And they give it to Tatum or Jalen, and they just kind of let them hold it. And they just stagnate. And that's always going to be the thing for me.
Yeah,
and I don't know what you do different.
A lot of it's ball control. Who's handling the ball in those spots? Right now, I don't think they know.
It's
who's
always
on the floor in those spots, which is a problem too. Joe not revealing much on that front. I've been rolling up for 3 games on it, and it's still really hard to get anything there in terms of like what they're going to look like rotation-wise. And they're experimenting. It makes sense. They're just getting healthy for the first time. I held out on double big. I'm glad I did because I loved it tonight. I thought it was.
I was anti, but they did well tonight. The numbers were pretty grisly after the break, but yeah.
It's slipped up for 3 games bad there, and you're almost wondering, all right, do you have to get White back in there? But Cavs game tonight, good matchup for it, and ball control looked great, whether it was Brown getting out in transition, whether it was Smart throwing outlet passes, whether it was Tatum setting them up in the half court, and Tatum changed everything for them tonight. But when you get to that crunch time, like you're talking about, John, who's got the ball more often than not? It's Tatum, and he needs to be the one. I saw it tonight more than ever. They're going to do what he does. If he's just tossing around the perimeter just settling for jumpers. That's what the team's going to do. They're going to fall right in line. When he's flying around like he was tonight, cutting, running on the break, screening, all the different stuff. Tonight was that MVP early season Tatum.
And Sherrod said
you
it
didn't
early.
see that the last 3 nights.
The movement without the ball, just where he was at all times, even the putback slam, just
that was great.
Putting himself in a position to make plays all over the court instead of kind of just waiting for it or setting up at top of the key and kind of, clear out. It was such a good chart. Tatum game. It's such a great shot chart, Bobby. That's what we started the show with.
It up?
No, I don't do that.
Oh, come on. It's beautiful.
It's so good. And only 6 threes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 shots in the paint. Just 3 mid-rangers.
And 14 free throw attempts. And again, when people get annoyed with Tatum, it's because the reliance on 3 seems almost in place of doing other things or working more on offense. And I'm not going to say Tatum's not a worker. Tatum plays both ends of the floor. But I do think sometimes in offense, he does take the easy way out with some stuff. And when he does on those games, like he did the last couple, it's a mixed bag. The shot's either falling or it's not, but that's kind of all you get out of it. But when he's doing tonight was he almost pitched a perfect game tonight. It was so good offensively. And Mazzulla said it, as I said, to Malika on the ESPN broadcast, like he made all the right reads every time he went to the basket, took the right shots, didn't pass up any good shots. He didn't force anything. It was just it was like a near perfect game.
Yeah, especially when you consider the opponent. I thought this was his best game of the year.
And didn't you think a team like this is usually the one where he'd be like, I don't know if I can get to the paint against these guys. Yeah. He was really aggressive. This is normally the type of one where he gets into the key and he's like, what do I do now? He didn't do that at all tonight.
This is super impressive. This win was great. And I think you caught Cleveland on a bad night. They looked terrible. Mobley's shooting threes early. I don't know what was going on with his approach. Midway through the third quarter, I think Mitchell just gave up on the team and started taking every shot to try to get them back into it. So you did not catch Cleveland on their best night, though they've slipped up a little bit lately. And one of my big things, John, early this season was I thought this was the team that posed the biggest threat.
Everyone mad I said Malika instead of Malika. I apologize. Jesus Christ, guys. Anyway, go ahead.
I thought, and I'm very interested to see Monday and see what teams show up. Because, both were pretty good in those first 2 games early this year. Celtics were missing Rob. That obviously made a difference tonight. But you see those weaknesses on Cleveland's roster. They get nothing out of the forward position, the small forward. Their guards are so small. Tatum and Brown can go right at them. And the Celtics easily took their bigs out of this game. And I was actually super impressed by how Smart took Garland out of this game until late. So this is a team that really scared me. They've slipped up lately. They did not play well tonight. And I'm definitely moving toward being less fearful of them. They did not impress me much tonight outside of Mitchell. Yeah.
Well, they just don't have any depth. I mean,
no depth.
And that, to me, that's more than anything.
And they did nothing at the deadline.
No, I thought that was the one team that would be very aggressive at the deadline because they've got a really good core when you talk about Donovan and Garland and 2 Twin Towers. But everything outside of those 4, you should have put something together to get you, at least a starter-like wing. Because I think that's really what they need at this point when you look at their roster. But
they added one guy at the buyout market who I actually caught up with tonight. So I got some exclusive insight for you guys. Danny Green, who was linked to the
seriously,
Celtics.
Bobby,
no,
seriously?
It's not a great addition.
You made Danny Green sound like he's Draymond Green or something like that. Danny's not going to do a damn thing for that team.
No,
Danny's tank is damn near dry. All right.
I did talk to him. He was linked to the Celtics.
He's a good dude.
Looked like they were closing in on him there for a minute, but he told me that the Celtics actually never communicated with him. He was looking at them as a destination, and they never really responded or communicated to him. He was looking at LA as well, and he landed in Cleveland. And when I asked him how it's going there so far, he's like, "We're figuring stuff out. He didn't sound thrilled about how things
figure out the
so
bench,
far.
but
Bobby, Cleveland was the only team that wanted him. That he didn't want to come out and say it, but I was interested in Boston, but they really weren't interested in me. Then there's LA, but they're not interested in me. But I'm here in Cleveland, so what?
If LA
Boston,
isn't interested in you, something's wrong because they should be interested in everybody.
I like the idea of him coming here, and that roster spot's still open. Doesn't seem like they're moving fast to fill it.
I mean, Danny's a good locker room guy, but beyond that,
Yeah.
I just don't see him giving you much
Sherrod,
in terms of production.
I don't know what this means, but he would have been the only guy on the roster with the championship, and he has multiple.
I don't think that means anything, especially if you're not playing.
Yeah, I guess
it means nothing. I mean, I think it's the right type of guy you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, is there a role for him? Clearly not, because the Celtics have an opportunity. So,
and that's why they're going to struggle to get guys. If he was,
that's why Terrence Ross didn't want to come here. I mean, Terrence Ross, I think he would have been a great fit, but Terrence is looking around and thinking, I'm not going to play in Boston. Why would I?
Kevin Love wanted to play. Yeah, these guys want to play. You always think guys just want to jump in and ring chase, but you got Blake for that, and no one else is really coming. People freak out about that decision, and I want to provide some info there because it does entice people more than I think it should, but it doesn't really matter, does it? The 15th guy. Especially on this team. I mean, they have them.
The 15th guy doesn't matter. The 8th guy matters, or 9th guy, if that's what you were going to acquire with that last roster spot. There's no way they're finding anybody on the buyout market who's sliding in ahead of Grant Williams in the rotate. Those guys don't exist. Like, just look at the team. I don't know what people want right now. You literally can't play Grant Williams some nights. You're not going to – and again, obviously Grant is going to be in the rotation.
Tonight was the only night, John. Come on.
He played 6 minutes a couple nights ago, but I'm saying there'll be nights where are you going to find a guy better than Muscala? Probably not. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the guys who are 8 and 9 in your rotation right now are not going to get bumped by a buyout guy. They're just not. If you grab a buyout guy, it is literally some tall stiff who will play a few minutes in case you lose 2 bigs or something like that. That's probably the only insurance you need, or the only thing that will. And even then, you still have Cornette, who's not playing right now. I don't
like that, by the way.
But when you've obviously we know you don't like that, but if you've already gotten Muscala as a big, and you've got Cornette, and on any given night those guys can't play, you think you're going to find somebody who's sliding in ahead of both of them? I just don't see it.
No. So I'm sure you guys discussed it. What do you make of that big man rotation tonight, the front court rotation? No Grant. Muscala sneaking.
What do you make of it? We already gave our points. We want to hear yours.
You fill it up here, and then we're gonna go.
It feels disheveled right now what they're doing there. They're trying to make this Muscala 4 thing work pretty aggressively. Now, he didn't play for 3 games in a row there. I know he had some knee pain coming into this game. So tonight was really the first night that they tried to aggressively get him going in that spot and pair him with the different bigs. They went to Blake early last game. It didn't get that. And every time I ask Mazzulla, he just says matchups. Unfortunately, Jared followed up tonight with that other question. But I don't get what they're going for there. Cornette was giving them good minutes early this year. Now they're trying to move Muscala to the 4, which doesn't look natural to him. And now they're pulling Grant out of the rotation. Now, I get it. Grant did not play well the last month or so here. A month and a half, might even be 2 months now, where he's played below his standard. But he's a guy who knows this system. He's important to you defensively. He hits threes at a high rate. Maybe Muscala is a better shooter than him, but I don't know why you're messing with that. I get you got to look at different things and experiment, but it almost feels like they really want to get Grant out of there and see if they can try something else, which I don't know. It feels like they're messing with something that worked, and I don't know if they're finding anything there right now. I think they're going to end up right back at Grant.
I think Grant's going to play plenty, and Grant's not gone. I think there are certain games where Grant might get squeezed. We've seen it happen twice now. This is the first time they've had everybody healthy at the same time. So we've never seen it. The amount of minutes being played by certain people like Grant, getting 28, 29, and 30 minutes at times was simply dependent on the fact that they were just down bodies. And honestly, Bobby, again, Cornette playing at all was just based on the fact that you were just down people. He's not going to play more than 9 guys on a night, most likely. You might go 10, but if you do, those 9th and 10th guys are getting single digit minutes, not enough to make. They might get a little stint. Somebody's in foul trouble, something, but the minutes don't exist. So how are you finding Cornette minutes here? I understand Grant over Muscala if you want to debate it, but those other guys they're not going to find time. Cornette's not finding time here short of an injury. That's not going to happen.
And you do need to integrate Muscala. So I get getting a little more assertive with inserting him there. I mean, again, he didn't play for 3 games in a row, but I don't know. It doesn't look like they're developing anything right there fast. How are you guys feeling about Muscala so far? I know he hits a lot of threes, but does he give you anything else?
I don't know. What are you looking
gives you
for?
some size. I mean, I think he gives
some
you
size. That's an upgrade.
I just think
he can shoot. He's the opposite of Rob. Rob doesn't shoot. He does. It's a little bit of a difference in style for sure. I mean, you're not gonna listen. They didn't get him for much, Bobby. I don't think they're expecting him to, play 35 minutes a game and drop 25 points a game. He's coming in playing 10 minutes a game, spelling out Horford for a bit. He's Rob Insurance, right?
Yeah.
And Cornette's there as well. That's kind of what you were looking for, I think, at the deadline / buyout market. You were trying to get a big who could do a few things. Quite frankly, I'm stunned that nobody thought of him as an option. He kind of fits a lot of what they were probably looking for at that point in the season. So, I don't know why he went 3 games without playing. I thought that was strange unless it was injury related. But I think they do have to work on finding a little bit of a role for him, definitely.
It really comes down to, is he replacing like anybody of value?
No.
Or is it just the legend and the myth of Grant and who people have kind of talked him up into being? Again, I think Grant has value relative to some of the other people who were on the team at the time because of his versatility. But when you add more bodies, that versatility matters less because now you have specialists, or you have people that can do some of the things he does, but maybe not all of the things that he does. And therefore the versatility isn't as important. When you weren't playing Hauser and when you didn't have Muscala and you were down a big, you can slide Grant into a 4 role, into a 3 role. You could sub him in for Tatum if you needed to. You could play him as a big in a small ball lineup as a second big. There's more opportunities there. But when you're flush, that versatility matters less because other people that are better at him, it's a whole jack of all trades, master of none thing. Everyone, all the other guys ahead of him are better at each thing that he does than he is. So he gets marginalized a little bit and he could get squeezed between the cracks.
I think you're right. I think you're
right.
He's
still going to play 20-something minutes, a lot of games, but that's what ends up happening to Grant. The versatility being his biggest attribute becomes less important when you have a lot of bodies.
I think you're right because Joe, once he finally explained it further, said they're looking for spacing, which Muscala is a better shooter, at least recently, than Grant. We'll see who ends up better. He gets his shot off.
He gets his shot off more easily than Grant does.
And they're looking for rim protection, which taller, longer, can play the 4 next to those guys, or even play the 5 in a drop. They don't like Grant at the 5 anymore. So you put him in at the 5 next to Hauser in that small ball lineup. They rolled, and credit to Joe.
Yep.
We'll see where this goes, but I think the rotations tonight hit perfectly, especially when they went from double big to start the game into the 3-guard lineup, into that Muscala-Hauser lineup. Played faster, played with more shooting, and got out and opened the court up for Tatum to have the game he did. So another check on the box for Joe. I thought a lot of good decisions tonight, a successful challenge again. Another good game from him where he coached a pretty good coach in JB Bickerstaff. So big win for Missoula here after 2 losses to this team and doing it pretty emphatically, getting Tatum going again. We'll see where this whole Grant thing goes right now. Very frustrating night for him. You didn't see him. I know you guys watched the broadcast. Not the usual jovial Grant along the sideline, and he didn't really want to talk after the game either. So I got a comment from him in Philadelphia about the 6-minute game. So he's going to be frustrated when they lose if he doesn't play, but if they win, he'll be fine with whatever they go for there. A couple other guys were saying that everyone has to sacrifice right now. That's been a big theme on the team this year. So he's going to have to do so just like a lot of other players on this team have this year. And you see it in guys' styles. You see it in guys' minutes and their roles. That's been pretty universal this year. So Grant can't get too worried or concerned or down about not playing because everybody on this roster, for the most part, outside of the stars, have sacrificed. You look at Brogdon moving to the bench. You look at Horford just becoming an exclusive 3-point shooter. Different guys sitting. The Scala sat for 3 nights. Rob went to the bench early on. A million people on this roster sacrificed in different ways. Jalen talked about the All-Star break about how he sacrifices playing next to Tatum. So I know it's going to be tough.
Which
for
is
Grant
a howl,
free
by the way.
agency. I know it's going to be tough for Grant ahead of free agency, but he might take on a smaller role on this roster. So, you know, when you see a Milwaukee and when you see a Philadelphia, Grant's going to be right back out there guarding and beating Giannis.
Grant's having his Dennis Schroeder moment right now.
Oh boy. That means that Sherrod and Bobby would completely turn on.
No, it's his. He gave up. He gave up his 60 million or his 20, 48, 50 million. And he's going to be. That's what I mean. He's going to be a.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He's going to be a 1 year.
He hasn't. We haven't.
The only difference is Schroeder actually had a bag to drop, whereas I don't think.
Well, it's interesting.
I think Grant was an imaginary bag.
You bring in Gallinari, a guy who can push him a little bit. You bring in Muscala, a guy who plays his position. I mean, they're looking for options there ahead of his free agency. They're looking for insurance, it looks like, in case they end up losing him there. And it's a smart, wise thing to do, roster management-wise, especially if you can keep the cost low with these guys. What does Gallinari make next year? $6 million. Muscala makes $3 million next year. So it's risky business, right, John? You get a little thrifty. You're like, can I get this for,
It's not risky. It's not that risky.
It's actually risky. Gallinari and Muscala can't play next year.
It's good business. It's good business.
It is.
Because it's good business. If you can supplement, if you can get close to what you'd have to pay 16, 18, 20 million for with 6 or 7, that's a win. You take those every once in a while. Because again, you can't pay everyone on your roster. Can't pay 8 guys on your roster $20 million plus.
You get what you pay for, though.
Yeah, but again, if it's a marginal drop, you live with it. It's a salary cap world. You can't always have everything you want all the time. If Grant is 10% better than the combination of those two guys for 1 more year, but then you just reload either through a draft pick at some point or another, or bring in another person, or you grab a mid-level, that you make do sometimes. And I think Grant is sadly going to fall into that category of a casualty. I really do believe at the beginning of the year, Brad gave him an offer he couldn't accept, knowing he wouldn't take it, because I don't think they're super serious about committing to him, or if they do, it's very much on their terms. I don't think there's a meet in the middle, and I've never thought there's a meet in the middle scenario. It's, if you want to stay for this, we'd love to have you. I'm not going a dollar over, and that number might be coming down. So again, we'll see. We'll see how it goes with Grant. It's an interesting offseason conversation. We've been going a bit. So we're going to wrap it up, but we're back. We've got a couple more games this week. We got the Nets, then we got Cleveland again. Is that right?
No, Knicks on Sunday.
Oh, Knicks. Sorry, and then to Cleveland. They go to Cleveland, right?
Back to back. So you'll be missing Rob and Al in one of those games, respectively.
Yep, Rob and Al. But it'll be fun. We can just it'll be half the show talking about Ben Simmons.
He won't be making that trip.
Or any trip.
Ever again?
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Chandler? Somebody was on one show today being like, you might have to accept that Ben Simmons is literally just going to be like a bare minimum.
I said it to you guys. I think they're going to
Chandler Parsons said that?
Chandler,
I guess he would know, I guess.
Yeah,
by the way, great seeing Big Perk in the house tonight. I'm sure you guys saw him on the TV.
Yeah, that was fun.
Perk's been talking a lot. Perk's been saying a lot of things.
He has a book out, correct?
He's got a book.
He does have a book out.
He can write too. He can talk and he can write.
I'd like to get him on the show.
Now, Sherrod, there's a guy who said 2 words in the locker room.
See,
every year I cover the team. I mean, he wasn't a guy that was yapping.
Isn't that something,
the way
Jimmy?
he is now.
You know what though? See, the thing about Perk though is that Perk didn't do the group chat thing.
Yeah.
He did if you slide up the Perk and it's just you and him, or you and him and maybe 1 or 2 other people, he's great. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He was rarely important enough to be put up among the first 2 or 3 guys as the talk to this guy. But that personality was always was always there.
Yeah. I think he was just silenced by KG, right? I mean, most people were. If you weren't KG, Paul, or Ray, you weren't really talking. Well, Ray wasn't really talking that much either. But those guys are always.
OKC Perk had some swag. You could see it.
No, he did. Once he left Boston, yeah.
Well, he was young in Boston, wasn't he? He got here at 18. And
I mean, he's a rookie there. Odessa, Texas.
Yeah, but he was there for a while, so he had some clout. Him and Rondo did their thing together. By the way, I had to put this dude Exhausted Coffee, and I had to put him in a timeout because he was just trolling and being annoying in the comments. So just let everybody know, if you're gonna
Everyone
be
seemed
annoying,
upset about him. Yeah.
if you're gonna be annoying, like I'll let it slide for a while. But if you're just constantly annoying, you're gonna get. I didn't ban the guy.
You can be in for a little while.
I
Not
put
too
him in a
long,
timeout.
though.
That's why he stopped talking. So
And I guess I will allow Jimmy to kick people out of my chat.
Yeah.
That's fine.
yeah, I mean, it was annoying for me. I like reading the chat. I can't read like annoying people nonstop though. It just
I think the
ruins my
the chat turned on him, Jimmy. I think you did them a
They
service.
did. I could tell that it was going the wrong way, so I did everyone a favor.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anyway, thank you all. Even Coffee. Maybe he'll be better next time.
Yeah, he wasn't banned. He was just put in timeout.
Just a little timeout.
A little lesson learned. We're all learning. We all learned something.
You and my 4-year-old twins. Just go sit in the corner for a little bit. All right.
How'd
just
Durant
take
play
a
tonight?
timeout.
You guys catch that at all?
Who?
No, I was watching the Celtics.
Oh, he had like
I
23
didn't-
points.
I
They
didn't
won.
catch it either.
I didn't catch it, but I think he did his thing.
Yeah. How can
It'll
I
be
miss you guys
interesting.
if you won't let me say goodbye here?
Yeah. Well, welcome
Yeah.
back, John. Good to have you back.
Yeah, it is good to have you back. Man.
I'll be off for the next week, but I'll see you guys.
There were a lot of rumors that were flying that it was like a mandated time
Suspension.
away. Yeah, suspension.
I went sensitivity training.
Sensitivity training. That's another one that we started out. Yep. Left the country.
It was because of all of the grief I've given Bobby over the last 3 years. They finally, CLNS HR got me. Yeah, and that was it.
I'm surprised it took this long, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Stop being mean, John. Yeah, no, I'm back. I had a wild ride. The last couple of weeks.
Good to have you back.
But nobody cares. It's good to be back. I missed I wish I was around that last game. That would have been fun.
The last game you
Boomer
would have.
Nick game.
Well, Nick brought the heat.
I thought you were gonna jump on because you were tweeting, and it was one of those games. And I was like, "We're gonna see John at some
One
point."
game you jumped in chat.
I did. Yeah, I did. I missed you guys, but yeah, it's good to be back. Like I said, a couple more games, home games this weekend.
19 games for the playoffs. Crazy.
You guys should join us. Yeah, I'm back.
I'll be here Friday night.
Oh, you are?
Yes, sir.
That's a rarity.
I'm chilling, baby.
That is a leader. That is a no
Yeah,
gigs.
I am a leader.
Yeah.
I don't have a gig this Friday. I have one next Friday.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So.
Okay, we love it. Good night, all. Support our sponsors, Athletic Greens. I did forget to tell you, if you do it, and I'll give you one last shout out for AG1 for those people. Check it out. 1 year supply of vitamin D5 free travel packs, your first purchase. We didn't say that part last time because Jimmy went off.
True.
I don't know where you went. Gone.
I went multivitamin scorched earth on everybody.
And then I started beating on those guys too, and I forgot to do what's called in the business a CTA, which is visit athleticgreens.com/garden free 1 year supply vitamin D5 free travel packs. And I'm conditioned every time I say that with your first purchase, plus you get one of these. And I got a couple of DMs recently.
This is the new one.
This is the new joint here. It's the new stuff.
This is literally hot off the press. Like I still think they're being made.
I wore one today and it was scorching hot.
Can you confirm that I do have a helmet on my head in the shirts that were made, or is that just
Bobby
Nick?
has snow on his head, I think, or like.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a bucket hat, but they didn't change the color of the bucket hat.
Yeah, I got a bad break.
He just looks like he has white hair.
I got a bad break. I asked
take one
Nick
for the
if he
team.
could take off the little Napoleon Dynamite's pal mustache that I have going on there.
Yeah.
But I can't. The little thing there, I can't get it.
Yeah, vote for Pedro. Tim says.
You know what?
yeah,
I
he
wanted
wouldn't do us any
real
favor.
pictures.
I think he wanted.
but-
I think he wanted to ridicule each of us a little, except for Sherrod, who he respects too much. Yeah.
Yeah, my picture was a little out there, but I do wish that I hope that it has the hard hat. I think that's the true me, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Either
So
way,
this is
new
the hard hat
t-shirts.
only for winning. The hard hat is only for winning.
It's only for playoffs. Winning in the playoffs, I should say. Yes. But I guess we'll see you. I might get a T-shirt tomorrow. I'm going to the Lions Den.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. That's cool. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. We'll see everybody on